Hello to all of my beautiful witches out there. Oh my God, you guys, it has been so long and I am just extremely happy to be back doing another video. Oh my goodness, you guys, I am not a content creator. I am not. And I realized that, you guys, I am not a content creator. And basically, in order for me to get on here and do videos, I really have to feel it, you guys. And if I don't feel it, I don't do it. I mean, and a lot of spiritual people are like that. You guys have to understand that this is my spirituality, and this is not just something that I'm doing because I want to be popular on YouTube and I want to blow up. No, that's not it at all. I'm doing this because I love my witches. I love my spiritual workers out there. And I'm just a person that loves spirituality. I love being a witch. I love who I am. I'm very proud of who I am. And I want you to be proud of who you are, no matter what that is spiritually, because I feel like that, just like they talk about the body of Christ, I feel like spiritually as a people, that's what we are. We are a body. And I think that we should truly respect and honor each other's differences spiritually. So I don't think that we should try to be on anyone else's spiritual level. I feel like we should all strive to be our best spiritual selves. And I think by doing that, we become more and more powerful, you guys. So that's something that I want you guys to really focus on. Don't worry about the gifts that anybody else got. Don't worry about what kind of witch this person is. Just really, really focus on yourself. And that's what I'm doing. When I'm not on here, I'm always constantly doing some type of spiritual work, you guys. I have a whole spiritual supply store, so I'm a businesswoman. And I really love my store, you guys. Make sure you guys support Crystal Creek Botanicals. That's my baby. I love my little store, y'all. I worked so hard on it. We've been open for 3 years. I never saw myself. This is not something that I saw myself doing. It just happened to happen. It just got as big as it did, as it is. Just, I don't know. It just expanded and expanded. And now we have over 300 different products. So I'm really proud of my baby. I'm going to leave my PayPal and my Cash App. Someone said I should do that. If you guys want to donate to the channel, you can. It's totally optional, but I would love for you guys to support my store. You can also support the channel by just liking, by sharing, and by subscribing, and by promoting the channel. If you know someone that is into these type of topics, no trolls, please. I've been deleting the trolls, you guys. I'm like, I don't want them on. I know some people leave negative comments there, but I don't want that stuff there. This is our space. Fuck that. If they want to go and talk shit, they can do it somewhere else. They ain't gonna talk shit on this channel. So I'm just letting y'all know, okay? So you guys, I just want to get into this Return of the Great Mother Part 2. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, if you want to reach me in anything in regards to this channel, any kind of spiritual things or spiritual topics in regard to the Yansa Mahala channel, you can reach me yansagoddess@gmail.com. If it's in reference to my business, Crystal Creek Botanicals, you can contact me at crystalcreekbotanicals.com. You can email me there if you would like a reading or something like that. You can do that there at contact@crystalcreekbotanicals.com. But if you have a question about this channel or any suggestions or different things, respectfully email me. So it depends on how you come at me. You come at me correct, I'm gonna come at you correct. So respectfully email me. Don't come complaining because you mad about something I said and now you want to. I do not care about nobody's hurt feelings. I'm so sorry, but this skin here is very thick, honey. I've lost family, friends, whatever. I do not care. So if you have a complaint, I don't know, write a letter to heaven. I don't know. Don't come complaining to me because you mad about something I said. We all have a right to our difference of opinions, and we all have a right to practice how we practice. Okay, so let's respect that and let's respect each other. Okay, so you guys, Return of the Great Mother Part 2. Hopefully I won't have to do a part 2, a part 3. because I'm hoping this don't go very, very long. So we'll see you guys part, because I want to get into some other topics. There's some other things that I want to talk about. And I'm like, if I keep doing this return of the great mother, we ain't gonna get nowhere. So you guys, I have learned so much, you guys, just studying. It's been amazing. I hope you guys are out there standing on your square. Okay, especially in these times, we are the ones, you guys, that really, really have to watch what we put into our bodies and what we do. I mean, because we are very spiritual people, and what we put inside of our bodies, what we eat, what we allow to be injected into us, all of those things, you guys. So stand on your square no matter what, because without our spirituality, we are nothing. And we don't need to involve ourselves in anything that's going to attack our spirituality in any way. This is a war that we in, you guys. And I know y'all like, she's smiling about a war. Yeah, I am. Because I'm a war goddess. I have more of an archetype of a war goddess. So energy like that, I'm built for this. This is what we do. If you're into chaos or any kind of chaotic energy, it is what it is. We were begging for the chaos. The chaos is here. So I love change. And there's a lot of changes going on. I mean, hello. My name is Yansa. I love change, you guys. So this is perfect for me. I feel like this is a chance for us to prove ourselves. This is a chance for us to rise to the occasion. So don't be dismayed by anything that's going on around you. Just know this is a very exciting time that we're in, and I am truly enjoying it, you guys. I know it's hard, but just endure. Just endure. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's a wonderful time. This is it's always been this way for us witches, right? We're always being persecuted all throughout the time. I mean, it is what it is. Let the games begin. That's how you got to look at life, you guys. I mean, that's how I'm looking at life, at least. So I'm homeschooling, totally homeschooling now. I mean, this is probably what we should have been doing, is homeschooling our children. You got to see the positive in all of this. I'm telling you, because the great mother is here. She has already returned, you guys. I could feel the energy every day more and more. I can feel her presence. I am looking at you goddesses out here, and you guys are powering up, like powering up every day. And while we're powering up, yes, there's so much negative that is happening to us. Yes, we're being attacked, but that's a good thing. It's a good thing. Listen, it is $1 million industry talking bad about Black women. Like, it is $1 million, billion probably industry. People are making millions of dollars, okay, throwing dirt on our name, you guys. That's how important. You guys are so powerful that people will sit up and do all kind of videos just to tear us down. You see what I'm saying? I am kind of like anxious about that, because I'm like, it goes to show how much of a threat that we really are. And I think we really are on to something. The more uncomfortable the patriarchy feels, the more uncomfortable they get, the more feathers that are being ruffled. You know that we are on to something, you guys. So I just want to say, shake the dust off, you guys, and just focus on what's at hand. You see what I'm saying? Becoming our most powerful selves, because the best is yet to come, baby. I'm telling you, y'all ain't seen shit yet. I just want to say that we about to do some things, and I'm excited about it. Okay, so I want to talk about the sybils, you guys. Oh my God, have you guys ever heard of the sybils? I know some of you have. Maybe some of you haven't. You're like, what the hell is a sybil? Okay, so we're gonna talk about the sybils. I know, like I said, last video, we were more so into the Old Testament, and we dealt a lot with, I was showing you guys where Esherah was all in the Old Testament, and how biblical God, which we know biblical God is nothing more than, if you look at how biblical God operates, he's nothing more than a governmental system. That's all he really is. He's really the government. If you really want to, biblical God is the government, and he operates in the same way as the government do. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing, except back then religion was kind of more so intertwined with the with politics. Okay, so we're going to go into the sybils. So sybils, you guys, is a term that was used for the spiritually divine, I don't know if we want to call them priestesses or women who had gifts. I call them witches because they were wise women. Typically, they would like to call them old hags because, and y'all, they always like to talk bad about us, but they would call them old hags. Basically, they were crones, many of them. They were young sibyls. But a lot of them were older women because, you know, as we get older witches, you know, we get more and more powerful. I mean, you don't want to go around fucking with some of these old crones. And many of us are crones inside of a young body. I feel like that's me. I have always been wise above my years. We run into those spirits today. You know, some of these young girls that we like to call them fast all the time because they're sassy or they sass mouth. And these are sometimes old souls that are in little bodies. There are so many old witches that occupy these small little bodies. And we'll call, you know, we give such a derogatory term to little girls all the time. You know, oh, she's sassy. Oh, she fast. No, this is somebody that probably has an old soul and has a lot to teach, but we have to groom them. We have to show them the way instead of making them feel bad about talking beyond their years. If we look at allegorical Jesus, he was very mature when they tell the story, because basically the story of Jesus, whether he existed or not, it's just talking about how the chosen ones operate. It's giving you a lot of hints on how you can operate in a society where people are pretty much against you when you're going against the grain, like many of us are doing today. So you can learn a lot from Jesus. This whole thing that they put on Jesus, where we should be worshiping Jesus and bowing down and only through him, that's a whole bunch of bull crap, because many of us are chosen and you are living the life of Jesus every day you walk around here. And if you notice, when they tell the story of Jesus, he was a little boy off in a synagogue somewhere talking to people way older than him. That's how I was. I was one of those kids that would sit and have conversations with adults. Even to this day, if you know me personally, you know I talk to a lot of older women. I enjoy literally having conversation. A queen mother that I love so much. Oh, Queen Vera, I love you so much. She is over 70 years old. And when I tell you, I enjoy talking to her so much, you would think sometimes talking to her feels like talking to a girlfriend. She's so hip and up to date, and just, I don't know, it's something about her. And I vibe with women on that level. I'll hang out. When I used to date back in the day, I would be hanging out with my boyfriend's mother. Even when I was married, I loved hanging out with my mother-in-law. So that's just the kind of woman that I am. But if we see the story of Jesus, I mean, his mother went off looking for him because he was off somewhere. You know, he was serious about life at a young age. And so many of us witches are like that. And many of the sybils, many of them were older. They had that wisdom. And basically these women all over the world. So I know that this book is more so African centered, but there were sybils all over the world, even over here in what we call the Americas today. There were sybils, these women that would go out into the spirit, and these women would basically be able to utter, they would be, you know, they would talk about they're in a frenzy or whatever, but you know, women have something that is called yin energy, and it allows us, the feminine energy can access the spirit world easily. That's why, if you notice in some of the Christian churches, you will see, you know, what we call gay men. We like to call them two-spirited or gatekeepers. Not every gay male is a gatekeeper, just like every woman is not a witch. So we'll do a whole video on that, because I do truly believe that our two-spirited really need to understand what their roles are in this whole spiritual system. Just as we have been miseducated as witches, many of our transgender, they're miseducated on what their role is. And they need to understand it as well. See, the masculine energy never really dealt with the two-spirited. Anytime there's patriarchy, what you get offered is to be stoned to death. by being gay, just like the witches. But in the Great Mother's Temple and always in the Goddess Temple, she always gave the two-spirited a place. No, she didn't call them, you know, what the women were called, but they definitely had their own spiritual place in her temples, and they were acknowledged. The reason is because when you look at the feminine energy, it's very giving. When you look at the genetics of a woman, she is very giving to all of her children. Men by default have to uphold other men most of the time because even by genetics, that's what he does. Men will give their sons a particular gene that he does not pass off to his daughters. And this is because men were created from the woman. We created men. The first male was created by us. He's part of a genetic mutation. And I know a lot of men get upset when I say that word mutation, but it's the truth. It's something beautiful that we created as women to help society, to make society better. The masculine energy expressing itself in its own form. It's a beautiful thing, but you all came from us. And because we know that as women, we don't care if we see one of our boys acting like a girl. It didn't bother us. It didn't bother us because we knew that from the time you were born, all of you were women. All of you. A missing leg from an X is what makes you a male. So it didn't bother us. It didn't bother us at all because that's the energy of the feminine. That's how we are. We are here to kind of create this peace. So we understand the world, okay, is built on polarity. And so the world, the universe that we live in, there are times when the earth is filled with more masculine energy. And then there are times when the earth is filled with more feminine energy. And when the feminine energy is here, the yin, we have yin and yang, that we're more spiritually inclined. And so if you notice, people were getting more spiritual messages from the divine, and it was activating these women to give us prophecies and different things that would help improve our lives. You see, when you look at a society and you see how things were before religion took hold, when you look on the walls of Egypt, you would see the men on the side of us. But when patriarchy took over, we went from being on the side of our men, working with our men, ruling with our men, creating the pharaohs, because that was the job of the spiritual women. We are the ones that picked the king. We're the ones who made the spiritual decision on who would rule over a nation. We tried to make it as fair as possible because everybody had a role. Because us as women, whether you even older than me as a man, you still are a child of mine. I will always be older than you. And that's just how it is. We are the oldest beings in society. And so a lot of men have a hard time accepting that. And that is where the hate and the jealousy come in. Men begin to be jealous of the spiritual gifts that many of these women have. And that's what happened today. If you are a spiritual woman and you have gifts, you really have to be careful with your partner, whoever you choose to be with. Because there's a lot, even when it comes to your family, you're going to have family members who are truly jealous of your spiritual gifts. You can come from a household where you can have the same mother, same father, or even just raised in the same household. Spiritual gifts is not something that we can just learn. It's something that happens to happen to us. It's something that the divine gives us, no matter how you were raised. So don't think you're going to be on the same spiritual level as the people in your family. Jesus had brothers and sisters, but they were all not on his level. You see what I'm saying? And so because of that, you might be the only one chosen out of your family, but it will cause contingency. So like I tell people, the first war was the war on gender. And that gave way. First of all, when people talk about racism, they don't like to really talk about the fact that gender wars between men and women being downtrodden on, because that's never the take that we ever took with our men. I'm sorry. It's not even in that stance. We never did that to our men because we always saw you as ours, as our creation. We, even as melanated women, created all the other races And we're going to talk about that a little bit as well. You white people, you have us to thank for you being here. Asians or any other races, we did that as women. The X chromosome is the X is the one that makes the mutations. We create all the different variations of people. So that's why they like to refer to us as having the Eve gene, but I like to call it the Lilith gene. Okay, we can't let them, these are titles that they gave us, but we have what is called the Lilith gene, okay? The mother of darkness, from which all things come from. So when you hear that word darkness, or we talk about the dark mother, we're simply talking about the beginning of all. Okay, and that's really truly what God is, the beginning of all things. Okay, light had to be created, but the darkness was always there. Okay, so that's why I say we are the daughters of the original. We are the mothers, we are a part of Lilith. Eve was a knockoff version of what Lilith already was, the original creator. So um, I want to just talk to you guys about the beauty of the symbols and how that spiritual energy is what gave way. These oracles and this divine word that came from the symbols is how you got your New Testament prophecies. And Mama Zoby in her book, she talks a lot about that. She did the research for us. I found her because I was already in a search. I had already been told, okay, I'm going to tell you guys, because I think it's important that we sometimes share our dreams and our spiritual experiences. And I wasn't going to talk about it because I wasn't going to talk about it and share my experience, but I think I want to. Okay, I got testimony. Ain't got no testicles, but I got a testimony. Okay, listen. Um, when I was still a Christian, I want you guys to know something. First of all, is that in your spiritual walk and in your spiritual journey, especially when you're young, I was in my late 20s and I was still a Christian. I need you guys to kind of know my walk because it may help you in a sense. And I was a Christian because I was born into Christianity. It wasn't the way of my people. My mother is an indigenous woman. She's part indigenous. We are federally recognized members of Muskogee Creek Nation. Um, and Christianity was never our way. Christianity was pushed on us because that's why we're part of the 5 civilized tribes. My people are on the Dall Rose records. We're listed as Creek by blood. We have a family cemetery. We have land that was issued to us. We're originally from Georgia, and my people had to walk from Georgia all the way to Oklahoma. We got to Oklahoma and they gave my great 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 grandparents and great great grandmother and great grandmother, they all were issued land and given Dall Rolls numbers. Okay, and so part of us being so-called civilized was them giving us their religion. The Creeks were willing to accept the whole Christian thing. So that's how I ended up becoming a Christian. My parents got saved and I was given Christianity. Christianity was a stepping stone for me. And one day I'll get more into my whole walk with you guys and let you know what kind of church I was in, all kinds of stuff. It's so deep, y'all. We'll be here all night. But I just want to kind of tell you, I chose later on to become a Hebrew Israelite. We can talk about that. Somebody said they wanted to know about my journey being a Hebrew Israelite. Y'all, when I tell that story, I want you to get your popcorn, your tea, your blunts, and anything else, your drink. Okay, because it gets deep. Y'all, a lot of y'all don't know, but if y'all see the Facebook page, Kalila Judah, that's me, y'all. So anyway, so I was a Christian at the time, but I was having all of these spiritual experiences. So in your walk, the more powerful you are, you're going to have different deities and different entities that may approach you. And these different energies will approach you through dreams and visions. And this was happening to me because I was about to go on a spiritual journey. And many of these spirits, they want to work with you. They want to deal with you. So many of them will come to you in your dreams. And, ooh, excuse me, y'all. Um, and I had this dream, right? Listen, y'all, it was so prophetic. So I had this dream that I was getting on this bus. It was like a regular city bus. And in a dream, I was going to go pick up my daughter. And so when I got on the bus, I'm looking around at everybody and things are looking normal. I'm riding on the bus. And so I'm looking out the window like most people do. I mean, ain't nothing else to do on the bus but really look at people or look out the window. So I'm looking out the window and we're riding up what is a nice neighborhood. And all of a sudden, I mean, like that, everything out of the window instantly turned into like the projects or some like weird area that I'm like, how the hell we get in the projects that fast? Like, it's like just driving, and then all of a sudden the dynamics of everything outside begin to change. Like, we're in this crazy neighborhood. So I'm about to stop the bus driver, like, excuse me, I think I'm going, in the wrong direction or something. And so he pulls into, right as he's, as he keeps going, he pulls into, now I'm going to try to describe this to you guys the best way I know how. So it's like the underground portion of a church is where he's pulling into. Okay, so it's a church. And the church is like up here. It's like a Roman Catholic church. I really can't see the church, but I can hear the bells that it's like a church. You know, that little bell in front of, it's some type of, I don't know what kind of bell that is that they have in front of these Catholic churches. But the church is up here, and on this side is some stairs that leads up into the the upper level of the church. But it's some kind of tunnel. It looked like we was going through the church. Like, I don't know how we were at some kind of underground tunnel, but it was pitch black. And this bus stopped right there at the entrance. Like, I stopped the bus right there at the entrance going into this dark tunnel. But the tunnel is going through the church, if y'all understand what I'm saying. Like, we're going down into some type of underground, I don't know, but it was weird. So I'm looking like, oh my God, this is a dark hole. Like, who wants to go through some kind of unknown dark tunnel? So when I'm looking to the right, I'm looking out the window. I'm like, where the hell are we? So when I'm looking to the right of me, I see the Pope. Pope John Paul. Now, at this time, Pope John Paul had been dead for years. And so he was clean as can be, you guys. He had on the all white. He had on that Pope robe or whatever crap they be wearing with that little round thing on his head. He had that on. And he was clean as can be, but he had like one of those grocery cart baskets. You know how some people pick up scrap metal? He wasn't digging in trash, but he was digging in like scraps, like scrap metal and things, and he was putting it inside of this basket. And I'm like, what the heck is that, Pope John Paul, right? So I'm looking at this, and then I'm looking over to the other side, which would have been the left of me, and I see these stairs, and on these stairs is this huge woman. I mean, when I tell you guys, she took up all of the steps. And when I looked at her in amazement. She had on all white. It was like this beautiful robe. And she was a light-skinned Negro woman. She had the Negro features. And I remember her hair was kind of like an Afro Latino. You know how they'll kind of have their hair will be curly, but it'll be a natural, but it's not quite as, but it's kind of loose curls, but you can tell this is a black person. You know what I'm trying to say? That's how her hair was. And it was red. And it went from here and it kind of went all the way back. I just remember her standing on these stairs, and she was so tall, you guys, and glorious that she took up all the steps. That's how long her legs was. That's how long her body was. And I remember she had this very warlike look on her face, and she was staring at the Pope, who was rambling through all of the scrap metal. And I remember nobody on the bus was shocked that all of this was going on. It's like everybody on the bus was in a trance. And I said, excuse me, I said, are y'all about to go through this dark hole right here? And they like, yeah, we're going through the dark hole. And I'm like, I'm looking at all the people on the bus. It's a black man right here, an older black man with a cane and some glasses. The bus driver was a black man. I said, y'all going through this dark tunnel right here? And everybody's like, yeah, they looking at me like, and I said, I looked at the woman over there and I said, I'm going over there with her. I said, y'all could let me off this bus right here. I'm not going through no dark tunnels today. And the bus driver said, okay. And he opened the door and I took a step off that bus and I woke up. And I never could understand that dream, but I knew it was something that it just stayed with me. Even throughout my spiritual journey, I was still a Christian after that. I was still a Hebrew Israelite. It didn't make sense to me, you guys, until I ran into Mama Zoby and this book, and how the title alone describes my dream, I feel. The Theft of African Prophecy by the Catholic Church, the sybils. And in the book, it was like in my research, I ran into her on YouTube and I said to myself, I want to know more about this, because I realize now what my dream was showing me. That woman on the steps that was looking at the Pope was an archetype of the Great Mother. And what the Pope was, because dreams, they're like visions, what the Pope was a representation of scraps that he stole. I'm going to call it scraps because it's nothing compared to the knowledge that we will have today. When they stole from us, when they stole our records, the Vatican has a vault over there full of prophecies that came from us. Your Bible is full of prophecies that came from sybils, that came from witches, that came from wise women. When they stole that, they thought that they were doing something. The Roman Catholic Church think that they're doing something by keeping our records. They think they have one up on us. But you ain't doing nothing, because what you have was scraps. You could never outdo the Great Mother. We knew that our takedown was coming before it ever came, because we were already forewarned. So the books that you got, we let you have that, because it's nothing compared to what we're going to do in the future. It's nothing compared to what is going to happen today and what is happening now, because the word, the true word, and the truth will be written on our inward parts. And that was a prophecy that we gave, because it's in your blood. All you have to do is remember who the hell you are. And that's what we're doing now. We're remembering who the hell we are. And that's something you can't take from us. We don't need books no more. We don't need writings on walls, because we are the divine. We are the spirituality. So it's nothing that you can do to stop it. I'm a product right now of a witch that you couldn't destroy, of witches that you could not kill. That's why I am here today, because my ancestors survived whatever you tried to throw at them. Yeah, you killed many witches, but you didn't kill the one that I descended from. You didn't kill the witches that all of you descended from. We're still around today, and they're living through us. So it's going to be written on our inward parts, as the Bible says. That is our prophecies. You see what I'm saying? So that is scraps. And that's what the Great Mother was showing me, that what they took from us was nothing but scraps. And we let you have that. You thought you really got something. You think you really got something today, but all you got is a bunch of stuff that could never be useful to you. So I had to get that off my chest, but it's a powerful word. And when I ran into this book, I realized that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, that I had made a sound decision at that moment to join the Great Mother, even though I was chosen from birth, because many are called, but few are chosen. And I believe that I was sent down here and I was chosen from birth. You still, because the Great Mother is fair, at some point in your life, you have to make a decision and choose to be a part of her, choose to embrace her. You see what I'm saying? And I made that choice that day. My spirit knew that I needed to be over there with her. And that's what she was showing me by taking me, that through that church is a dark tunnel. And also, I want you guys to know that underneath many Roman Catholic churches and underneath many of these churches are burial grounds. They have buried babies up under there and all type of stuff. They have found so many dark secrets with these Catholic priests and stuff. Y'all, it gets deep, okay? So I wanted to tell you guys that. So basically, a lot of you don't know that one of the most powerful and spiritual places in the ancient times was a place called Asia Minor. And today we really know it as Turkey, you know. But before it was called Turkey, it was a place called Lydia. And in this place, in this area, it's called Asia Minor. I gotta explain something to y'all because a lot of you think that Greek or ancient Greeks were white people. And I hate to, be the bearer of bad news for some of you, but Asia Minor and that whole area over there that we call Greece and that whole area over there, that was full of nothing but melanated people. You need to go take a look at your map. And actually, the Bible even give you. Matter of fact, I have my notes here because I got y'all. I ain't good at sometimes. I remember some scriptures, but not all of them. I am a Bible thumper. I love the Bible, and the reason why I realize I love the Bible so much is because it belongs to the witches. So don't ever let nobody tell you that you can't deal with the Bible because you are a witch. It's your book. Even if they have put a lot of things in there to condemn you, let me tell y'all something. Biblical God loves witchcraft. Okay. Biblical God loves sorcery. Biblical God loves divination. But he only loves it if it's benefiting him. And he only loves it if it's benefiting his cause. So just understand that. It's plenty of witchcraft in your Bible, but you're only condemned if you're not doing it. If I go into a church right now and I give out some prophecies as a witch to a bunch of people, people would be saying, oh, God is using her. And I would be praised instead of condemned. But because I call myself a witch and I'm willing to use my powers in whatever way that I choose to, now all of a sudden I'm a threat, I'm evil, I'm going to hell and all kind of shit. Okay, so just know that, you guys. Biblical God, he loves witchcraft. Okay. And so I want to tell you guys that this is our book and you can use it as you please. Don't let no one try to tell you that you can't. You're wrong for using it. Do what you want. Okay. Do what thy will. So I want to tell you guys, look, so that whole area over there that's called Asia Minor is really nothing more than Egyptians, Ethiopians, Babylonians, Libyans, and all of those Africans that dwelled in that area. All they did, because we're some nomadic people and we move around, we move all over. We move for political reasons. We move for, to run away from persecution. We move basically for resources. But all the people did was move from Egypt and just right up there on in to what is called Asia Minor. And back then it was called Lydia. And so it's proof of this in the allegorical Bible because you know that the Bible is allegory mixed in with some history. Okay, so I want to show you guys really quick a few scriptures to show you what I mean. You'll see that all of these nations work together. Why? Because they all were polytheistic and they all believed in the Great Mother. They believed in the feminine energy. Biblical God, monotheism, okay? And monotheism was only basically put into place for political purposes, okay? Praying to one God. But all of these nations would kind of dwell together because they all were polytheistic. They understood, like they would blend their goddesses together. That was very common amongst that region. So if I'm Babylonian and you're Egyptian and we both have war goddesses, maybe you call your war goddess Neith, I call mine Anat. However, it's still the same type of energy. And we didn't mind doing that. So when people move from one land mass to another, what do? They take their culture and gods with them. So all of the gods that was in ancient Egypt, that was in, Babylonia, Babylon, excuse me, guys, Babylon, all of those gods, they got taken with them over into Asia Minor. So if you notice in the New Testament, you had all of these so-called disciples going into these areas, basically trying to turn people away from the matriarch and basically make them patriarchal. That was what the whole thing was. It has nothing to do. They went strictly down there to tear down the Great Mother's temples, because over in Asia Minor, there were these beautiful temples that were dedicated to the Great Mother. Do many of you know that Asia Minor in the Bible is probably mentioned more than Israel? That landmass was so important to biblical God. It was so important, not just because of those beautiful temples. There was a jealousy, but because where there's temples, there's money. Just like today, you see a church, there's money. Okay, so biblical God and his followers were so jealous of the fact that it was all of these beautiful temples, temples that they could not ever dream of creating. You see what I'm saying? The marketplaces that were there, I mean, oh my God, it was a beautiful, it's still, some of the stuff is still standing today. As a matter of fact, I think it's the Temple of Artemis is one of the, what do they call it? The eighth wonder of the world. That's how beautiful it was. They say that that temple took over a century to build. That means that people put, that's how much effort. It's, we probably haven't even seen a temple that glorious to this day. So there was a lot of jealousy going on, okay? And so even if you read in Acts, when you read about the actual woman by the name of Lydia, I think it's Acts chapter 16. They called her Lydia because she was literally from that area called Lydia. And they would typically name many sybils after the area in which they were from. So they didn't actually give you a name, and her name could have been Samantha for all we know, but they called her Lydia because of the place that she was from. And so if you notice, she was the first person they say that was converted in that landmass. But what was she? She was a businesswoman, because women were making money as we are starting to do today. Why? Because the Great Mother has returned. We are starting to take powerful positions in the world today. And that's what was happening back then. She was a seller of purple, and she was the head of her own household. If you really listen to the story, when you read Acts chapter 16, you'll understand that she allowed them to stay in her own household and convinced her household to be baptized. So she was converted over, but goes to show you that she was a woman in charge of her own house. And she also was a businesswoman, which many women back then were. Women even back then had their own servants and things like that. So I'm just kind of showing you guys how, you know, what was going on in that landmass. And it, like, the spiritual energy for women was so high that women were making all kind of money. And, you know, men get jealous, you guys. That's what we're going through today. You know, like Neiman and Saks, they put, what was it, $1 billion or billions of dollars into African American women owned businesses. And you saw all these memes and stuff, all where the men was mad, they ain't trying to do nothing but separate the black family. Listen, had they have given investment money, you know, for our men, I wouldn't have seen women sitting up there complaining. But for some strange reason, we have all these men getting upset because women, your own women, you know, are coming up in the world. Why does this upset y'all so much? Like, you're the only people that could ever receive anything. This makes them uncomfortable. And this is something that has been going on for a very long time. That's how you know the Great Mother has returned. We are facing some of the same things. So while it's good on one end that we're starting to have all these new businesses, we are the fastest growing people, the fastest growing group of people, Black women, when it comes to new businesses. We're creating because we know how to support each other. We know how to work with each other, which that is the biggest downfall of our men, is that you guys choose not to work together. We have a big problem with our brothers killing each other, okay? Which is something that us sisters really don't participate in. We don't sit around killing each other all day, bang, bang on the street. Where you from, sis? You know, we don't do that. We know how to work together. And if any of you men were smart, You see which way the energy is going in the world. You would think that you would navigate through life trying to deal with and be a counterpart to us in our journey. You should do all that you can to be up under a witch. That's what you should be doing. Instead of trying to hate on us, you should be trying to learn from us. Be like Solomon of the Bible and learn from the witches, because that's how he became the wisest man of the land, by learning from the witches. Okay? Learn from the wise woman. Embrace this energy instead of trying to work against it. Working against it is not going to do you any favors. You're just limiting yourself. That's all you're doing. You're not hurting us. You're hurting your own self. That's why you're sitting around Pookie and Ray Ray, crying and stuff. This ain't fair. That's why you look weak, because you're sitting there crying. And you're going to keep crying. And I'm going to keep laughing. Anyway, you guys, so let's get back into it. So I want to show you guys briefly that I don't want none of y'all saying after today that area that it was just filled with nothing but white folks, because that is a big misconception. So I want to get into these scriptures here, you guys. I want to show you that all of these nations were together. So if we will admit that the Egyptians were melanated, and if we will admit that the Ethiopians most definitely are melanated, and we will also agree that the Libyans were African melanated people, why would you think that the people of Asia Minor were not melanated and they were all together and worked together as a community? And the Bible kind of goes over that. So I have a couple of scriptures that I wanted to show you guys just for the sake of showing you guys that these are actually out of the Old Testament. So anytime you see the word lewd in the Bible, where it'll say a nation of people called lewd, if you look that up in the Hebrew, that is basically no more than the Lydians. They're talking about Asia Minor, because that's what that area was called at one. Modern day Asia Minor, we'll call it Turkey. And so let me see, Ezekiel 30. I'm going to link these scriptures in the description so you guys can I got notes now, so I'm like, I am not about to be trying to memorize everything. If I don't have notes, y'all, I'll forget something. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't tell them. So you know that in the Old Testament, that biblical God was always making threats to these nations because he hated the way that they worshipped. We already know that already. So I'm going to start at Ezekiel 30:4. Because I want you guys to also see all of his empty threats that he be making. I'm going to destroy you, hailstone, wrath, the wrath of the Lord. Okay, so Ezekiel 30, verse 4, it says, "And the sword shall come upon Egypt, and a great pain shall be in Ethiopia. When the slain shall fall in Egypt, they shall take away her multitude, and her foundation shall be broken down. Yet Egypt is still standing." And Egypt kept standing after this. This is, like I said, empty promises of biblical God. Ethiopia and Libya and Lydia. Okay, so we see Ethiopia there, which we know those are melanated people. We know what Ethiopia is, that whole landmass over there. There was no Kenya, you guys. Kenya was Ethiopia. That whole area over there in East Africa, Libya, we know that that's the same Libya of today. That's northern Africa, Libya and Lydia. Lydia is what we call Asia Minor. It says, "in all the mingled people of Chub." Okay, so Chub is a countryside area in Egypt. So that's another area in Egypt. And the men of the land that is in league shall fall with them by the sword. So I'm scrolling down as I read, you guys. So that's why I'm reading like that. Don't think, yeah, she read. Yeah, I read. I can read, y'all. So anyway, I'm scrolling as I go. So, but basically that's showing you in the scripture that all of these people were mingled together. So you think they were mingling in with a bunch of white people up over there? No, that area was melanated people as well. And this is kind of like a history. a time in history kind of showing you that all of these nations were together and they were in, according to the Bible, their account, in opposition of biblical God. He wanted to make war with these nations of people. For one, because these nations were very prosperous. And these so-called Hebrew Israelites, because they are a broken down people, Hebrew Israelites are nothing but what you call ancient Canaanites. So because they wanted to break off and become their own people, they really didn't have a homeland. And so they spent all their time trying to they're colonizers. The same thing going on with the government today. They're the same thing. They wanted to colonize land and take over. They wanted to become their own people. And so this is what was happening, okay? So I want to show you guys another scripture. We're going to go into Ezekiel again. I think I should have did this one first. But this is Ezekiel 27. I think I might. And we're going to go down to verse 10. So I want to show you that this is not, so that the sybils in these areas as well were melanated people. So I want you guys to know that, because it's an issue. I hate when I hear people say, that these areas, so they of Persia, okay, Persia, well, we know where Persia is, and of Lud. So when you see that word Lud, know that it's a Hebrew name for Lydia, and that is Asia Minor, once again, and of Put. Put is basically another Persian country. In thy army and thy men of war, they hang the shield and the helmet in thee. They set forth thy comeliness. So he's mentioning these group of people together. This time he has them with the Persians. So if you see this whole region over here, and Put is another African nation of people. When you see Put, you're talking about one of the descendants or sons of Ham. And we all know that Ham in the Bible basically, it means burnt face. It is a dark nation of people. And so once again, we see these dark nations of people together. He's also meaning Asia Minor, because there was just a small distance between them. Well, not small, but it's not much of a distance between these two nations. So we see them there together. Once again, the dark nations of people, once again, with the whole Asia area again. One more time, you guys. I got one more scripture I want to show you guys. Okay, so we have Jeremiah 46. Verse 9. So I got that one in my notes too. Y'all, I got notes today. I'm like, I ain't playing with y'all. I got these notes. I got them scriptures. We're going to look at this. Okay, so here we go again. And this is a different prophet, so-called prophet. Come up, ye horses, and rage, ye chariots, and let the mighty men come forth, the Ethiopians, there we go again, the Libyans that handle the shield, and the Lydians that handle and bend a boat. So now we're talking bend a bow. So now we're talking about going to war. So if you know anything about Asia Minor and that place they call Lydia, they were known for being the first place to create what we call coins today. They were the first people to put images on coins. And because of that, they were a very wealthy place, but they were also known as being archers. So that goes to show you that these nations were even fighting together in war, according to the Bible. So I wanted to show you guys briefly that that whole area over there was basically melanated people. Well, this was the hub for the New Testament, and for them to go over there and disgrace the great mother's temples. There had goddesses over there. One of the goddesses, for sure, we know that was melanated over there in Asia Minor, was the goddess that they call Artemis. If you look at the image of Artemis, Artemis started off as an African deity. She literally belonged to the Libyans. And one way they know that, when you go into Asia Minor, they have the oldest statue that they had of Artemis, which later on the Romans then named her Diana. So when you see the word Diana in the Bible, they're really talking about Artemis. And so the image of Artemis was basically a Negroid image of her. I wish I would have printed it out. That would have been good, duh, and showed you guys. But maybe I'll link it in the description for you guys, okay? And kind of help you. And I'll show you that Artemis had more Negroid features. The most ancient image of her was a huge statue. And how they know that she came up out of Libya is because different nations all have different ways of creating statues. Just like, I mean, even in cultures today, they can tell a nation of people or where they came from just by how the women weave baskets. Every different culture have a different way of making baskets. They have a different way of making jewelry. They have a different way of making clothes. And when they study the oldest artifact of Artemis, it was the same type of creations that the Libyans would make. This was how they would do their statues. It was very similar to how they created statues. So what happened is you'll see the image of Artemis, and as time went on, when the colonizers got there, Artemis ended up looking more and more white. The Romans came and did their own replica of her. Because see, when they come and colonize a land, they don't want your black ass sitting up there. They don't. They don't want to see no daggone black goddess sitting up there. So they imitate what you have, rename it. You see what I'm saying? She became, and then they turn around and put an image that looks more like them. Okay, they're like, we ain't about to be worshiping anything that look like you, especially if they stole from you. They don't want it to be known that they stole from you, so they have to hide it. And that's what happened to Artemis. She was actually Negroid, and she looked more melanated in her original state, but as time went on, they began to whitewash her more and more and more, just like the Black Madonna, just like all of those images. Okay, so that's what they ended up doing to Artemis. Okay. And so I wanted to talk to you guys a lot about, even you want to know what's so crazy. Like I was even reading the story of Solomon. And one thing that I noticed is that whole story of him having 800 wives, I mean, it's a very crazy story. I mean, when you read about that, first of all, the name Solomon, I want you guys to know, means son of man. It literally means son of man. A lot of people don't know. Saul is son, and then of man, Solomon, it means son of man. And in actuality, Solomon was not married to 800 women. That is a lie. The Bible loves to exaggerate its stories. Basically, I mean, even that landmass over there that was said to be David's, it don't look anything like what the Bible described it as looking like, okay? It looked totally different. I mean, the Bible describes King David's, kingdom as being this massive, beautiful, I mean, but it really was nothing more than a basic countryside. Literally Israel is not, I mean, there are other places in Africa and the Americas that's shitting on that place that they called Israel. The only thing valuable to that area and what makes that God's holy land is something called the Fertile Crescent, something called liquid gold, and that is oil reserves. Everyone, you should know that. It's nothing special about that whole landmass over there. But the real story of Solomon was that he did not have 800 wives. Solomon stayed in what is called a women's village. That's what he stayed in. They still have those societies today. When women are more spiritually inclined, they do not desire men as much. I mean, it's something that is happening today with the Great Mother's return. Women are not desiring to be married as much. Women are not desiring to raise families as much. Women are not desiring to be in relationships. As a matter of fact, I want to show you guys how, did you know that according to the Bible, and I know I'm all over the place, but that's just how I talk, y'all. I don't have this programmed or I don't know. I'm just doing what I do. Did you know that according to the Bible, that desiring a man and being ruled over by a man is a curse? Did you know that? Many of you don't know that. And so I'm going, you know what? I'm going to show y'all. You think I ain't playing with y'all today. I am not playing with y'all. I'm about to show y'all, for all of you that love to be submissive, I'm submissive. And all of you who love to be, it is a curse, because the original state of women was that women did not desire men, nor were women ever. It is a curse. And biblical God is literally showing you that. Let me show you guys. I got to find it. We're going in Genesis, you guys. I'm going to show you where being ruled over and desiring men, according to the Bible, is a curse. Hold on. Okay, here we go. So we're going to go to the fall when God decided to curse Eve. So let's talk about this. I'm going to show you guys. Okay, here we go. I gotta find it, you guys. Okay, hold on. Okay, here we go. Here we go. And because I want you guys to know, I used to argue this with Hebrew Israelites because they would say that women don't have seed, that men have seed. But I'm telling you guys that women at one point in time were able to create children of their own. And so it shows you that women have seed even by reading this passage. Okay, hold on. Okay, so right here, even when you read Genesis 3 and 15, and it says, and I will put enmity, which is hatred, between thee, which God was talking to the so-called serpent, between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thy shall bruise his heel. And here it is here. So it's Genesis chapter 3, verse 16, you guys. I had to find it. It says, and unto the woman he said, I would greatly multiply thy sorrow in thy conception, and in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. So these were curses that God was issuing out to Eve. He gave her a curse to desire her husband. So apparently, if she was cursed to desire him, she didn't desire him at first. Eve was out there doing her own thing. You know what I'm saying? And then cursed her to be submissive up under him. That is a freaking curse. And some of y'all going around here happy to be cursed. You see what I'm saying? And then you wonder why this don't feel natural to powerful women like myself, spiritually inclined women. First of all, even Mama Zoby was saying that we as melanated women were not born under the yoke of patriarchy. We wasn't born under the rod. We were born free. So never let nobody at all, melanated woman, make you feel bad about being who and what you are and not being willing to submit. They'll call you haughty. They'll call you all kind of names for not being willing to submit. They'll compare you to other women who play the submission game and say, these women over here, don't compare me to what I birthed. Those are my children. I created them. Don't compare me to them. I will never be them because I am the prototype. Okay. So never say to me that I'm supposed to act like these other nations of women. We're not these other nations of women. Okay. Because we were here hundreds, if not thousands of years before these women ever existed. So you can never try to come at a sister and think that our spirit is going to be like these other women out here, and never try to make yourself on their level. You are lowering yourself. And stop doing that shit. Do not lower yourself to be on nobody, and don't let nobody make you feel bad about being who you are. And so that's why that whole submission thing don't really work with us. And we're called all kind of names for that. You see what I'm saying? Know that you created this. So this is a curse. And I refuse to accept anything like that. Your biblical God has no right to curse me. None. I don't accept it. I don't. And so now you'll see that women are more so not desiring men because we are waking up. It's the blood in us, the DNA in us that is awakening. And we are starting to understand, hey, I don't have to, it's just how we're feeling right now. We don't have anything against our men. It's just we are not chasing men. Women are starting to be content and totally happy with being single. And it really is hurting men in so many ways. I don't even understand why anybody would be upset about hearing a woman say, I don't need a man. Leave her alone. Leave her alone. If she don't need your ass, she don't need your ass. Okay? That's how she feel. Go find a woman that do need you. That's what you do. Move around, bruh. Get in where you fit in. This woman right here says she don't need your ass. Let her be. Okay, I wouldn't get mad. Some man say I don't need women. Okay, well then don't be with women. Go do what you want to do. But this really aggravates men that many women take this. I mean, so that's why we have people like Kevin Samuels and all these other people out here today. Okay, put into place. That doesn't bother me at all. And goddess, it shouldn't bother you. Stop giving people your energy like that. I don't even understand the silly ass women go calling in there looking stupid anyway. Stop trying to appease these men. You look dumb. You're not getting anywhere. They don't give a damn about you, most of them anyway. And I'm not talking about my good brothers out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about a particular group of men. We have some excellent, I know some excellent brothers. I talk to them all the time. Family men that are supporting their witches and being there for the goddess. They understand how this goes. That we don't have to, it's plenty of you. And my witch hat is tipped off to all of you. You see what I'm saying? But we got these clowns out here. You see what I'm saying? So yes, I don't accept the curses. So I guess many of you didn't know that. But anyway, women would form their own villages. And they do it today. They have an all women's village over here in Kenya. And they have them all over the world. And it's nothing new. There are matriarchal societies, that a group of women who say, hey, we are sick of men in they shit right now. We're going to take our asses over here with our babies. They start schools. They create, they create a whole environment, and these women live together. They pray. They got their own deities. And so Solomon was elected to stay in the village of the witches. In an all-female village, the women have a right to allow whoever they want up over there, up over there. I was looking at this all-female village over there in Kenya, and those women are happy up over there. And what's so crazy about it is you have these men that stand at the gates, and they be waiting to get chosen. I mean, shit, if I was a single man, and there was a village full of women somewhere, that's where my happy ass would be. I'd be right there at the gate. And that's what women do. If they want to deal with you, the women will come and get you. You can come and stay the night. You just can't live there in the village. But the women would allow the men to come into the village. And Solomon was one of the men that was elected because he had influence. And it'll tell you in the Bible that Solomon followed the ways, they'll say, of his wives, but they really wasn't wives. It was just a village full of women, and Solomon was allowed to be there. We educated him. We gave him all of the knowledge that he knows, and that's how he became the great sorcerer that he was. Solomon was given the juice. You know what I'm saying? You even hear about one of the most famous sybils that you could ever know about, you guys. One of the most famous sybils is the Queen of Sheba. Y'all, I love reading about the Queen of Sheba. She even had some contact with Solomon. The Queen of Sheba was a sibyl. There's plenty of proof of this all throughout. She had the war goddess energy. The Queen of Sheba was so powerful that Alexander the Greek, I mean, he never thought about fighting against her. Ethiopia was not conquered because of the Queen of Sheba. Not at that time, because the Queen of Sheba was very good at war and warlike affairs. She would kick ass. The reason is, if you read up on the Queen of Sheba, you guys, is that she knew how to fight with animals. The Queen of Sheba was very good at using elephants. I want to tell you guys this story. It's amazing. Nobody is better at strategic war than the goddess. Okay, that's how we have the spirit of Athena, which is no more than Neith, which is no more than Kalima, which is no more than Oya, Yansa. You see what I'm saying? It's that war goddess energy. The war goddess in her warlike state, she don't necessarily go to war herself, but she creates the strategic plan to go to war. When you read in the Bible about the story of Deborah, if you read about her, how she judged the children of Israel, she was very matriarchal. They don't want to tell you that part. And she was the mindset behind them going to war. She knew when to tell them. She had the spirit of prophecy. She was a very wise witch, and Barak would not even go into war without Deborah because she was the strategic strategic mindset of war. And that is the spirit of Athena and other warlike goddesses, okay? And that is the spirit that the Queen of Sheba worked with. Now, the term Sheba really breaks down into the number 7, okay? The term Sheba breaks down into the number 7 because 7 was a divine mother, was a divine number of the great mother. And the number 7 was hijacked from our great mother and was given and used by patriarchal God. This is why he ends up making, he got 7 days, just like they stole our triple three. We got God the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But before that, it was the mother, the maiden, the crone, or the mother, the holy Kadesh, and the war goddess. We had the triple three way before they stole everything from us, y'all. Like, this is just crazy to me. How much they hijacked from us and then turn around and hate us for it. Y'all. So anyway, the war goddess energy is what the Queen of Sheba had. And her name, Sheba, it means oath. And the oath is the number 7. And that stood for the 7 daughters of Eve, as they call it. But I'm going to call it the 7 daughters of Lilith. So you can look it up. It's the 7 daughters of Eve. And you'll see in Asia Minor over there in Lydia how those temples were created to represent the 7 daughters of Eve. The reason why that number 7 was so important is because there are 7 hollow groups. And these 7 hollow groups come from the 7 women who are on this earth. From the 7 original divine women came all different bloodlines and hollow groups that are on the world today, that are in the world today. Hollow group is called L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, and on to L7. And out of all of these hollow groups, those are the original. We're the original 7 divine that created the other races of people. L3 is actually responsible for creating the white races, the Asian races, but they all come from the prototype, which was the melanated woman. And it was 7 of us. Okay, it was 7 of us. And so the 7 temples over in Asia Minor was a representation of those 7 hollow groups, the seven divine. Okay, the 7 divine ones, that was the 7 originals. Okay, and it also is a representation because you guys know everything that's on earth also is going on in heaven. So on earth as it is in heaven, as above, so below is how we say it in the occult. So they also mimicked the 7 temples to mimic the 7 stars in the Pleiades star system in the sky. I am so irritated with you white people going on over here talking about you a Palladian star seed. I really wish y'all would stop that. You're not a Palladian star anything. I don't know where y'all come up with this old weird stuff talking about, I'm a Palladian star seed. I'm a light worker. Please don't get caught up in that, y'all. Because that's some old goofy stuff. These people just be. And so, no, you're not a Palladian star seed. Okay. So anyway, the Pleiades is very it's the same energy that we use here on Earth. The temples were mimicked after the Pleiades system, the 7 stars that's in the Pleiades. All of that is connected, you guys. It all has something to do with the number 7. So we know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that the Queen of Sheba was very much so matriarchal, and she was part of our matriarchal system, and that she worshiped the goddess as well. And as you see, she had even a connection with Solomon. Solomon learned so much from the witches. Be like Solomon, some of you, and learn from the witches instead of trying to fight with us, because you're not going to get very far doing it. I'm telling you, if there's the last man standing, believe me, it'll be a melanated woman. So you get nowhere sitting up here fighting with us. But that is truly the story of Solomon and how he was taught by the witches, you guys. So one thing that you have to understand is that even Jezebel, you guys, she was a very, very powerful witch that was matriarchal. Listen, that is our war hero. You know, they talk so bad about Jezebel, but Jezebel fought hard for the matriarch. She fought hard for the great mother to have her place. That was why Jezebel was such a threat, and that is why the spirit of Jezebel is such a threat today, because that matriarchal spirit actually tears down this system. So, and that's what's about to happen now, you guys. You see what I'm saying? We have to get in tune with nature, because we as spiritual people, especially as witches, that is the only chance we have for a rotten system to be torn down, is the forces of nature. That's what voodoo is. That's what spirituality in itself really is. It's using the spirit of God, or dealing with the spirit of God through the forces of nature. You see what I'm saying? There is no way, all of us sitting around looking for some black messiah to come and save us, some black king to come and lead the people and save us out of our despair. That's that whole Jesus crack in the sky to come save you complex. When I hear people talking about who is going to be the next black leader and help black people, common sense will tell you that that's not how it's going to go, because every black leader that we have ever had in the past was not able to ever save us out of any kind of condition. You're going to have to save yourself. But the only way that this place can truly be changed and torn down is through the forces of nature. These people got nukes. These people got bombs. These people got weapons of mass destruction. We're not going to build no African army and go out here and take these fantasies and delusions. Some of y'all need to stop with them shrooms, because it's affecting your brain. You feel like you're going to build some kind of army. This is bull crap. What we always had on our side was the forces of nature. And the reason why, witches, you cannot deal with the forces of nature like you used to is because for hundreds of years you have been taught that you can't do it. It's all about what you know, the information that you have. You have been taught that you can't do it, therefore you believe that you can't. But now that we're beginning to awaken out of our sleep, we're starting to understand that we have the power to do these things, that we could change the weather, that you have the ability to do so. But we have to start believing and activating that within us. That's what it's all about. It's all about the fact that we have been taken away from our gifts by way of fear tactics, telling people that it's wrong for you to talk to the spirit world, that it's wrong for you to deal with your ancestors, that it's wrong for you to do these things, or you're going to be punished spiritually. So these things had an effect on us. And so this is why it's out of control, which is the earth is out of control because you're not judging them. That is your job. Just like Deborah was a witch and a judge, that's what the hell you supposed to be doing, because witches have the ability to judge the nations. We have the ability to curse. That's why I'm not going to let no biblical God curse me. I have the ability to curse. You see what I'm saying? You have been given that by way of the divine. You can't help it that you came here with those gifts, because if you have gifts, that means the divine entrusted you. And so we had the ability to judge wicked men. You see what I'm saying? We had that ability. And so we have lost that. How did we judge them? Through curses, through our mouth. That's why in slavery, they would put a muzzle on your mouth. And that's what they always saying about the black woman, your mouth. Okay? Yeah. We start at a young age with that mouth. Okay? Because it's for a reason. We are different. Never try to be like the other nations of women. You are always meant to stand out, and you always will. You always will. You are the greatest thing walking this earth. And your creation, which is the man, is the greatest thing walking this earth. Why? Because he came from you and he was made with love. Because we love our men. We need them to respect and love us and respect the order. Okay? Ever since you, black man, stop respecting the order, you have been enslaved the entire time. Your downfall is because you don't listen to your wise counsel, which is the witches. So when you went against us, you went against yourself. It may have felt good, like some of you feel good about making fun of us. Okay, it may have felt good, but you ain't doing anything but damaging your own self. There's a lot of wisdom that many of you could access, but it comes through us. You see what I'm saying? Spiritual gifts benefit the man. As a matter of fact, they were stealing sybils, enslaving them. That's a known fact in history, and using them for their own benefit. That's been going on. They were hijacking back in the day, in the ancient times. I can tell you about that. Let me show you something, y'all. We're going to read about the witch of Endor. Okay, for many of you who don't know about the witch of Endor, we're going to read about the witch of Endor. Okay, so let's go in here now and read about the witch of Endor. And I'm going to show you a prime example of using witches. You guys, when you have spiritual gifts, especially right now, with your gifts starting to be more and more activated, you're going to have people who are going to try to use you for your gifts. They don't want nothing to do with you, you know, in the public eye. Pastors do it, ministers, they consult with witches all the time, but they don't let their congregation know that. So you're going to have a lot of people who want to benefit off of your gifts, but then will condemn you for being a witch. You see what I'm saying? And that has been going on for a very long time. That the very witches that they condemn, they also will go to for help. And that's what happened with the poor little witch of Endor, y'all. They did it dirty, y'all. You know, why are we surprised, right? So we're going to read about that in the Bible in 1 Samuel. My neck, y'all. Okay. Chapter 28. I wonder if I start with the first verse. It's the first verse? No, it says 3. I'll start at verse 3. I hope y'all doing all right. Shoot, I know I'm all over. That's why I said get y'all a pen and paper, honey, because this ain't no script. This is off my head and the research and chew the meat and spit out the bones, y'all. Okay. Okay, now Samuel was dead. So we see that King Samuel was dead, and all of Israel had laminated him and buried him in Ramah, even in his own city. And Saul had put away those that had familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. So he ran out all of the people, you know, that were basically into divination and consulting with spirits. And the Philistines gathered themselves together. So he done ran all the spiritual workers and stuff out of here, probably stoned them, killed them, whatever. And the Philistines gathered themselves together and came and pitched in Shushan. Y'all, I don't know if I said that right. And Saul gathered all Israel together, and they pitched in Gilboa. I don't know, someplace. And when Saul saw the host of the Philistines, y'all know the Philistines, according to the Bible, they didn't play that shit. They would they would tear them Israelites up at times. I mean, they were constantly at war with these other nations. He was afraid. He got scared of the Philistines, probably as he should. And his heart greatly trembled. Okay. And when Saul encountered of the Lord, so he went praying to his God, y'all, and the Lord answered him not. So God was like, you on your own. And so neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by the prophets. So I'm going to stop right there a little bit because I want to tell you guys that Urim was a form of divination. Remember when I told y'all that biblical God, he loves witchcraft and divination and all those things? Well, Urim was a Hebrew way of divination. It's the same stuff that we do, but biblical God don't like it unless it benefits him. Okay, it's very selfish. It's just like the government. They're the same way. You know, it was illegal when black men was out here, selling weed and all that kind of stuff. It was illegal here. Many brothers caught felonies. They caught cases and everything because weed was illegal. Do you know why it was illegal? Because the government was not profiting off of it. Okay. Now that it's legal, all of these taxes is on it. It's legal because the government can benefit off of it. Listen, the government would make prostitution legal if they could get a cut. If they could be the pimp, you could be the hoe. They don't care. Okay. So anyway, and this is just how biblical God is. I told you he's just like the government that we're under today, narcissistic in all ways. And so unless it benefits him, it's evil, it's wicked, and you need to die. Because why? He don't want you to benefit. He don't want you to be your own power. Okay. If the government wants you to give they want their involvement with everything. Okay. So that was their form of divination. The Urim and Thummim is what it was typically called. Then said Saul unto the servant, seek me a woman. Oh, hold on, bitch. So now, your God don't want to talk to you. And you done ran everybody off. And you trembling and scared of the Philistines. And now you want you a woman. Oh, okay. I see how that go. That have a familiar spirit. Oh, so you don't just want you a woman. You want one that can deal with the spirit world. Sound like a sybil to me. Sound like a good old witch to me. So when all else fails, y'all, come and grab a witch, okay? That I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said to him, behold, a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor. So now he wants to use her gifts. But I thought you didn't want us in your little town. I thought you didn't want us in your little nation. You done stoned witches to death. You done killed them. You done did all this. But because you feel like it'll benefit you, it's okay. You see? And this is what ends up happening. They been stealing witches, y'all. This is a prime example of stealing witches. I'm going to show y'all right here. It says, okay. Let's see right here. Okay, and Saul disguised himself. So this little tricky, sneaky ass, punk done set up here and disguised himself, y'all, and put on other raiment. And he went and two men with him, and they came to the woman by night. So they creeping at nighttime, to find this witch. And he said, I pray thee, divine. Oh, so he calling her divine unto me by the familiar spirit. So he's asking her to divine for him. Okay. And bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee. So basically, I hate this dang Bible stuff. I should have read this out of the other interpretation. But basically what he was saying is that I want you to call on a particular spirit for me. He wanted her to consult with someone from the dead. And the woman said unto him, behold, thy knoweth that Saul, which is this fool disguising himself, have done, and how he have cut off those that have familiar spirits. She like, look, y'all know damn well I ain't supposed to be over here consulting with spirits. Y'all trying to kill me and the wizards and out of the land. Like, so y'all done got rid of everybody, and basically getting rid of is basically murder. Because, okay, they was out there killing these dang on witches and stuff. Wherefore then, it says, wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life? She like, are you trying to kill me, fool? To cause me to die? She like, are you trying to kill me? Sure, I ain't trying to die out here to divinate somebody for you. Okay, she had good sense. This is not a crazy witch. And Saul swear to her by the Lord. So he swears on his own God, saying, as the Lord liveth, which that didn't really mean nothing, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. He like, nothing's gonna happen to you. You gonna be all right. Then said the woman, whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, bring me up Samuel. Okay, so he wanted to talk to the dead king before him. Okay, and when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. So she was able to commune and she was able to see with her eyes. She was able to see Samuel. And she cried with a loud voice, and the woman spake to Saul. So she spoke to Saul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? So when she saw that it was Samuel, she realized who she's speaking with is Saul. She's like, why did you deceive me? For thou art Saul. You're Saul. And the king said unto, and oh, I mean, hold on. And the king said unto her, be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. So she was able to see. She had a spiritual eye. She was a seer, and she could see gods ascending out of the earth, which is amazing, because that's amazing that the gods were ascending out of the earth, which is amazing. Basically, she was in another type of dimension. She was in the spirit world. And he said unto her, what form is he of? So what does he look like? And she said, of an old man cometh up, and he's covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it is Samuel. So he saw in his mind, he's figuring that it's Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. So he bowed himself. It's amazing. And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sorely distressed, for the Philistines make war against me. So I don't want to keep reading the story, but I did want to say something that was kind of interesting out of this story, was that she could see into the spirit world, but Saul himself could hear with his own ears. So that was amazing. He couldn't see Samuel. The witch could see Samuel, and she was the one that was the key piece into going into the spirit world. She had the ability to communicate with the spirit world herself. So she opened the door, which is something that us witches need to understand. We have the ability to open the door to the spirit realm. And she was able to see all that was going on in the spirit realm. Saul did not have the spiritual eye, but he was able to hear the spirit. So just showing you guys how, even in the Bible, how they were hijacking witches for their own good and for their own uses. You see what I'm saying? They were hijacking these witches because they wanted to use them for their gifts, use them for their abilities, use them, for their own benefit. And this has been going on for a very long time. Now, I want to tell you guys something, because this video is starting to get a little long, but I want to tell you guys something a little bit about those temples that were over there. And in the New Testament, when you guys read about the 7 churches in the New Testament, remember we talked about those 7 temples that that was basically a representation of the 7 divine women, and those 7 goddess temples that were in Asia Minor and Lydia. Those temples were actually those letters that are mentioned in Revelations. When you read about Revelations, were basically letters that were written to and written about those 7 temples. And basically Paul and them, they were going over there to convert people over, okay, to turn them away from the Great Mother. And so you will read about it all in Revelation. So when you guys Read Revelations now. I need you to take the blinders off your eyes and realize that they were talking about, even when it mentions the great whore. You see what I'm saying? They were talking about these temples dedicated to the goddesses. So it's really amazing, you guys. I kind of want to go a little bit into the New Testament and kind of show you guys, you know what? I think I do. I want to go and show you guys an example of this in the Bible. I want to show you guys, we'll go to Acts. I want to show you guys really quick just how they were going over there trying to take out the temples. And I want to show you guys this because I think it's just very interesting. I wanted you to guys, because you guys are reading the Bible from a different standpoint. You guys don't understand that the matriarch was all throughout the Bible, you guys, and the attack on the matriarch. This is very good history reference for you guys. And I hope this will help you guys today to see how powerful you are. You guys really need to grab that book, this book right here by Mommy Walter. It's so much information. I think I am going to do a part 3 because just going within this book, I am not going to be able to get into everything. Y'all, I used to watch these Bobby Hemmett videos and he would be talking for 4 goddamn hours. I would fall asleep on Bobby ass. Wake up to Bobby ass still talking. Like, it's Bobby, 4 hours. Like, that brother can talk. You know what I'm saying? Bobby, I want to give a shout out to Bobby Hemmett, you guys. And the reason why is because, oh my God, when I ran into him back in the day, Bobby is a supporter of the matriarch. And he always talk about, you guys, if you don't know about Bobby Hemmett, I'm so happy that this brother is still alive where he can see the manifestations of what's going on today. Because I consulted with the spirit world about why they allowed Brother Bobby to have a stroke. Bobby no longer speaks. Nobody's perfect, but he had a lot of information. And one thing that I know I can totally agree on is that he said that it was the divine feminine energy that was going to return, and that the dark feminine energy was going to be the energy that is going to destroy this earth. And I know you guys are like, that's horrible, but no, the only way for us to get out of this condition and for our children and for us as a people to rule again, one nation has to die and another nation has to come back up again. We ruled over these other nations of people for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And so we're in their time right now. But what is going to happen, even in Revelations, we all can agree. Even if you're not a person that even believe in the Bible, these prophecies are all over the walls. The Native Americans knew the earth has been destroyed several times before. And what causes the destruction has always been the divine, dark, feminine energy. The dark feminine energy is going to be the destructive energy because you guys have pissed our great mother off. And now her daughters is here. We're basically a weapon. You know, she has made us weapons. It's weapons all over this world. And our energy in our mouth alone is what is going to destroy this place. It's going to be done through the forces of nature. Quit waiting on somebody to help you. Nobody's going to help us. It's the forces. Only nature can save us now when you think about it. So this place has to be destroyed for the new heaven and the new earth. So many of us today are part of the destruction of this place so that the new heaven could be built, the new earth could be built. But this place has to be destroyed first. Why? It's a very sick place. The people here are sick. The minds of the people are sick. The spiritual system is corrupted. There's nothing left that's probably good about this place, but the few of us that are still, that number 144,000, that might all that'll be left for the new kingdom. You know, most of us will not make it to go over into the new kingdom because it'll be a new heaven and a new earth, it's going to happen. It's happened before. And Bobby Hemmett knew that it was going to be the feminine energy. He had no problem with supporting the feminine energy. So I asked the spirits, I said, why did y'all, take Bobby's voice away from us? And it was revealed to me that they had to shut Bobby up. If you notice right now in the so-called conscious community in itself, that a lot of the so-called conscious male leaders are taking a decline, losing their mind, committing all kind of horrible crimes. They're being exposed. I mean, all kind of wickedness has happened since we allowed our black men, or so-called kings, to be in leadership positions. We have Malachi York Zeke molesting children, basically womanizing the women. They start off by saying the black woman is God, and then we end up being a whole bunch of bitches. You see what I'm saying? And they do this because they want to gain our support. They need your support. You're the only people that do support them. The other race of people ain't supporting them. You see what I'm saying? They need to trample over you because they are being trampled on. You see what I'm saying? When you look in society and you look at our men and you ask yourself, why are they the way they are towards us, many of our brothers that are very toxic? It's because the white man has his foot on their neck and they can't seem to work together to do something about it. They're so busy competing with each other. It's nobody's fault but your own. And then when you have men that do support the women, what do other men do? They attack that man. They call him a punk. They call him a bitch. Oh, you ain't, they call him all of these names. All of these men who are out here supporting the matriarch and supporting us as women, other men talk bad about. You see what I'm saying? So because he cannot flex on the white man, because he has surpassed them in almost every way possible, which that's their fault. The Asian man has to pass them in every way possible. It used to be that the black man and the Latino man was neck and neck, was the black man was way above the Latino man at one point. Now y'all neck and neck. In a minute, the Latino man will then surpass the black man. Okay, in society. When it comes to money, when it comes to businesses, when it comes to successful marriage, all of these other nations of men have surpassed them. So you cannot be deemed as a dominant force because you're not dominant in nowhere on this planet are you dominant. And so the only person that they can try and abuse and flex their power on is you as a black woman. So that's why we're the only people who they feel like they can dominate. That is starting to change. And now we have an influx of black women being murdered. We have an influx of black women losing their lives. Stop putting these love spells on these men. Mind your damn business because you're getting killed out here. Okay, they're angry out here. They're mad at you. They're mad at you for surpassing them. You see what I'm saying? This is the type of energy that is in the earth today. So you need to learn how to mind your own business right now. You see, there are men, who are not of that energy. But if you notice in the community, the so-called conscious community, the voices are not being heard the same. Many of them are losing their mind. It's not no one person putting no witchcraft on them. It's a shift in energy. You got so-called witches and warlocks on here talking about I'm the person that caused all this going on in the community. No, it's a shift in energy, sweetheart. It's a shift in energy, and that's the reason why they're going crazy and being exposed. Do you know why, queens? Do you know why, witches? Do you know why Bobby Hemmett could not speak anymore? Because if they did not shut Brother Bobby up, then Bobby would still be talking today. And as long as Bobby keeps talking, then the matriarch, women like myself, will not be heard. It's time for us to step up. It is our time now. We gave you guys plenty of time. We allowed you to lead. We were submissive in many ways. We allowed you. And what has happened? When we had leaders like Brother Malcolm, our own men were used against Brother Malcolm to take him out. It wasn't just the government. It was the government using his own people, his own brothers, to take him out. So this is what you have done when you was in a leadership position. Don't be mad, because we are stepping up now. Brother Bobby, we're going to make you proud. And I'm glad that you will get to see exactly what it was that you were talking about all these years. You will get to see the matriarch in all her glory. I hope that we all live long enough to see this happen, because that is what is about to happen. So that is why they are being silenced now, so that you could step up, so that I could step up, and so that our daughters could step up. I want to say to you from the bottom, I'll say from the top of my heart to the bottom, that I want you witches, and especially you younger ones, to be even greater than I could ever imagine, even greater than I could ever be. I am not one of those people to say, I am the greatest witch of all times, and that I want you to surpass me. It is time for us to take our spirituality into our own hands. It is time for us to stop depending on others to do spiritual work for us, and to start doing it for yourself. I'm not here to make money off of you guys and tell you, if you need spells done, come to me. This is a channel where we are learning how to take our spirituality into our own hands. And that's what I want from my witches. We will never become powerful depending on somebody else, even if that is another witch. If you need spiritual help, it's nothing wrong, but do it for yourself, or at least try to do it for yourself. This is what this channel is, to empower you to become your best spiritual self. And so I'm not trying to make you just like me. I would hope that one of you sisters will become so great, okay, that you will actually put a dent in this thing, a dent in it so hard it can never come out. Just an unbreakable, unremovable dent. Put a dent in this. I need for you guys to become more and more powerful, and awakening into your own energy, you guys. It really does mean a lot to me, because I see greatness every day in my sisters. Every time I'm scrolling, I'm one of those quiet people sometimes on social media that just scroll, and some of the things that I see and hear my sisters talking about, if you feel inspired and you feel like the Spirit is on you and the Holy Spirit is with you, make your videos and put your voice out there, because it is our time. You will be heard. It's time for us to step up to the plate. So I'm going to read this scripture really quick out of Acts. And I want to show you guys just how they were going into these areas where these temples were, to try to take us off of our square, to convert people over. And it worked. You know, we had leaders like Constantine. At one point, he supported the matriarch in that area, and then he turned his back on us. So we had so many, men that fought right along with us. But at some point in time, the opposing team got very strong, and they turned their backs on us. So you had leaders that took over that area and still allowed the matriarch, the melanated goddesses, to still be there, but turned his back on us later on. You can read about that in history if you like. But this is Acts chapter 19, verse 24. And I want to read this to you guys. I just want to show you just how, this energy works. To me, when people talk about converting and going into areas, converting people, it kind of reminds me of politicians and how they go into spiritual communities and try to convince you to give them their vote. It seemed like this is, to me, kind of what the disciples were doing. They were trying to show themselves to be better wizards, better witches than the actual people. Because when you think about what Paul was doing, when you read the Bible, I don't believe there was actually a Paul, but when you read about some of the acts that he was doing, he was healing the sick, raising the dead. This is all the type of stuff that witches do, prophesizing and all this type of stuff. It's the same thing. So he basically, even when it came down to Jezebel, when she was ruling, and the witches that she had, well, you had her in competition with one of the other prophets who was trying to, show the people, I'm a better witch or wizard than these people over here. Same thing with Moses. prophets. He was going around in Egypt, doing all kind of sorcery to show people, look, our God is more powerful. Look, we can do this too. Watch us. So it's kind of crazy, y'all. But look, I'm gonna go to y'all. I'm sweating. Why y'all didn't tell me that these ring lights is hot? Shit, them motherfuckers emit a lot of heat. Over here sweating and stuff. I'm over here melting. I'm melting. Okay, y'all. I'm so silly. Especially when I start getting sleepy. I start saying all kind of stuff. I'm about to get off here if I just start talking. I'm gonna be like, we don't know what the hell she talking about. Okay, so we can see right here. So this is talking about Paul, right? I want to show y'all how he was all up in Asia. Look, y'all. It says, so he sent unto Macedonia 2 of them that ministered unto them. So he sent 2 of his disciples into Macedonia and to Timotheus and Erastus. I don't know what that is, but he himself stayed in Asia for a season. So he's living in Asia over here. And it says, and the same time there arose no small stir about that way. So nobody was tripping about him being there in this area. It says, for a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana. Remember, I was telling you guys that Diana is the Roman Catholic name for the goddess Artemis. And remember, I told you guys that she had a huge statue and all of these temples that were in Asia Minor. Where you see here, Paul was in Asia, and there was a man. So here we go, named Demetrius. So you had men that did support the matriarch. They didn't have a problem with women having their own spaces. As a matter of fact, he was a silversmith and he made shrines for Diana. And it says he bought no small gain unto the craftsmen. It says whom he called together with the workmen of like occupation. So he called all of these craftsmen that had a similar occupation to them. And he said, sirs, so he had a meeting here in Asia Minor. It says, ye know that by this craft we have our wealth. So these men were making money. Remember I told you where there are temples, there is money. This is why they wanted to erect their own temples. It wasn't just about spirituality. They wanted to be in on the wealth. They were very jealous of what was going on in that area. And men were making money, making these images. It's a big industry. Churches are still an industry. Any kind of temple, there are ways to make money there. Moreover, ye see and hear that not alone at Ephesus, but almost all throughout Asia. So here we're talking about Ephesus. Notice that Ephesus is also one of the 7 churches that are mentioned in Revelations. That was a goddess temple, Ephesus. That's where Artemis was. That's where a lot of the great temples were to the Great Mother. It says Ephesus all throughout Asia. So all throughout Asia, the Great Mother was worshipped. This Paul, here we go with Pauline ass, have persuaded and turned away much people. So he comes over here to a region of people who have their own gods. This is the same thing going on with Asherah. This has been following us and it's still going on today. Even in, have y'all noticed, even when we have our own spaces as women online, or even this space that we have here, you got these little goofy ass wannabe kings coming up over here interfering in our spaces. Why are you here, bruh? Why are you here? You got women over here. It could be a women's group or a bunch of women somewhere talking on a post. And here comes some dude in our damn business. Why is you over in women's affairs? It used to be a time back in the day where men did not do that. I never used to hear my dad complaining or all up in women affairs. In school, when I was growing up in school, if there was a boy sitting around all us girls and stuff like that in women affairs, we called him sweet. We called him sweet. He was like one of the girls. You see what I'm saying? We knew he liked boys. See what I'm saying? You're not supposed to be all up in women affairs. If you be more concerned about you being a man, okay, than me being a woman, you be all right. You see what I'm saying? You don't know how to be a woman. That's not, if you a man, worry about men stuff. So anyway, so here he is all throughout Asia trying to persuade people to turn away from the goddesses. So you see right here for yourself another attack on a matriarch. People can worship what the hell they want to, but here he comes, okay, meddling, okay, saying that they be no gods which are made with hands. So he basically are saying like, y'all making these statues and stuff, basically just tearing down the matriarchal system. They would make statues. See, no one ever believed that these statues were actually gods. This is the Bible's claim. Nobody believes that. We would only make these images as a representation of the energy of these gods and goddesses. It had nothing to do, this image was just an image. We knew that the statue couldn't do nothing powerful. It was there because it was a representation. And by looking at that, it made us feel some kind, it put us in a spiritual mindset, okay? So basically he messing with their business. So that not only this, our craft is in danger, he was saying, to be set at naught, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana, okay, because she had her great temple there, should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worship it. Do y'all hear that? So not only Asia, but the world. Look, I had to say it like a preacher. The world, you got to feel it, was worshiping the great mother. It tells you that. You're looking at it in this history lesson here, okay? So even the Bible will admit, this is a jealousy thing, you guys, that the great mother was worshiped all over the world. And see, when the great mother is worshiped all over the world, when the yin energy is there, we all become more spiritually inclined. We all begin to receive more spiritual gifts. When the yang is more prevalent, it's more about taking over a landmass. It's more about physical, tangible things, which is not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with having physical, tangible things, but it's the colonizing aspect of it. And even melanated men participated. They were the first to participate in the colonizing aspect. We were the first to put our name on land masses. See, with the feminine energy, we live communally. See, that's how the indigenous people lived in Creek Nation. We were matriarchal. I'm matriarchal by blood. We were a matriarchal group of people, and our land was communal, meaning that we didn't have separate land, like this is your land, that's your land. Where you lived, that was your land. We had communal land. And we also raised our children communally. See what I'm saying? The givingness of the great mother. It was an insult when the white man then took our land from us, moved us somewhere else, and then turned around, gave us a doll rolls number, and they issued my great-great-grandfather 140 something acres of land. They tried to make us patriarchal by doing so, and it caused confusion. Okay, so when he offered him land, it took us from being communal to now being separate. This is mine, this is yours. But not only that, it allowed different entities to sell portions of that land to white people. So when you split up the land like that amongst a group of people, now somebody from that tribe can see a white person over there and say, you know, white person come along, you're having hard times. Hey, I'd love to buy that land from you, which is how we get gentrified today. So it was about separation. That's what happened when the yang energy takes over. Now there's a separation of land. Now we're not living communally anymore. You see what I'm saying? So it's nothing wrong with tangible goods. It's nothing wrong with stability that men have to offer. I'm not knocking the energy. It's when it becomes a toxic form of masculinity. And that's what ended up happening. you see, in the earth. You can never get to the spirit world with the yang. Any of you men who call yourself hyper masculine or you're so alpha, that is the reason why many of you can't get or evolve spiritually. Your alphaness doesn't go any further than beating the hell out of somebody, building a house somewhere, or taking over some kind of land. That's as far as that would take you. You have to be in tune to this feminine energy to be able to use and occupy any of your spiritual gifts. This is why the two-spirited are very, very talented. Many of them are able to dance, sing, make stuff, clothing. They are using the feminine energy to do all of these things. Their ability to create and do all of these things come directly from us. So we always gave them a place in our temple. We typically called them gatekeepers. The reason why they were called gatekeepers is because they were at the gates. They protected the gates that led into the mother's temple. Many of them were eunuchs in a sense that they would cut their penises off. That's a little extreme, but many of you get sex changes today. But back then, they would cut their penises off because they knew that they couldn't be welcomed into the temple. They were still technically males. So many of them would cut their penises off and dedicate their bodies to the great mother, basically saying to her, I want to be a part of the matriarchy. You don't have to go through those extremes today. I would hope not, but they were accepted. They didn't call themselves women. They didn't say, well, like some of you are doing today, you know, there's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things. They didn't call themselves women. They knew that they were their own branch of spirituality and they were accepted as such. There was an order in that. You see what I'm saying? So they had their own form of, even though they were men, they were still able to tap into the spiritual energy. So they still have the genetic mutation that makes them male, but they are more spiritually in tune to the feminine energy. And they also protected the feminine energy. When you have something like a goddess temple, you can never really let heterosexual males run the temple in any way. You can never let them work security. You can never let them, because what ends up happening is they end up taking the women away from the mindset, you know. And all of a sudden we have all of these men who start lusting after the women. Then you have women fighting over men. It became this whole big thing of confusion. And so one thing you have to understand, you can never break the bond between Black women and gay men. You know, it always have been like that. They have been our support system in some ways and allies, those of them that support us and is not trying to replace us and be just like us. I don't believe in that. What I do believe in is that you have your own form of spirituality, which would then make you special. You see what I'm saying? In a sense, as spiritually special. So we had you guys in the temples, and basically they were very protective because even though, y'all, I've seen so much video footage of gay men beating the hell out of straight men. I'm not laughing. I am laughing. And I'm gonna tell you, because a lot of times it's because a lot of you hyper masculine men, you love to go around messing with and picking on these gay men, and you think because he got a purse and a lace front that he can't beat your ass, and you end up beat up. And so this is the reason why many of them protected the matriarch. They stood at the gates and they were gatekeepers for that reason. They also were there also to help create, you know, because if you have a two-spirited friend as a woman, and many times, because those are still men, many of them, they still are men. And it's nothing wrong with that. But because you have to embrace that if you're two-spirited. You can't just, well, I'm just feminine. Ain't nothing just feminine. I'm a woman. I'm not just a feminine. I have a lot of masculine energy and I don't feel bad about it at all. You know, men be trying to tell me all the time, oh, you acting masculine. Yeah, I beat your ass like somebody masculine too. So, hey, I got a nice little dress. I'll walk around, boobs hanging out and everything. And you play with me the wrong way and I'll beat your ass like a straight nigga. Oh, goodness. So, oh, yeah, and drop the N word. Oh, well. But anyway, y'all, I embrace my masculinity. I really do. I have it. I created men and I'm all for it, okay? And I have a lot of masculine energy in my chart as well, you guys. I can be very left-brained. I'm very, logical in a lot of ways. So, you guys, so that was the power behind the so-called two-spirited. They always have been somewhat of an ally to us, because they were very protective of us. But one thing that a lot of you gatekeepers and two-spirited are supposed to do is create a balance between the masculine and feminine energy. So a lot of times women could get advice sometimes from our two-spirited friends because they're girlfriendish, and at the same time, they still think like men still. They still can kind of tell you what the men are over there thinking because this is a man. So it would be an ally for us and it would help us to understand each other because they kind of dip in and deal with both energies. It was there to kind of create a harmony sometimes in some ways. You guys don't see it like that, but in the indigenous culture, we did. You know what I'm saying? It was more African patriarchy that started coming against. And that's why I hear a lot of people talking about, especially some of my two-spirited, talking about we should all go back to Africa. I don't think that's where you want to be, baby. We always had love for that community amongst the indigenous. Indigenous people always understood our gatekeepers. We gave them their own forms of worship. I know a lot of you men are mad about that. It's not for you to understand. If you're so masculine that you don't understand this energy, these people, this has always been gay people and there will always be gay people. It's something that I did not always accept. And I will admit that I am not the epitome. I had to learn. I was Christian. I was Hebrew. Even my friends who are two-spirited, I told them that. They taught me a lot. I had to drop a lot of the ways. Never let anybody make you feel bad about where you came from or about what you used to, be. My spiritual walk has changed and I am allowed to change and I don't feel guilty about changing. It's how I become the powerful goddess and witch that I am today, is by all of these experiences, and you need to be having some as well. So we always had a connection. I wanted to get into the eunuchs with you guys, but I think I'll do a whole video on that, and maybe, just maybe, I can go live some kind of way. I have my beautiful brother, his name is Anton, uh, and we might can do a video soon together, you guys. I have a whole little small community that I have of very powerful witches and gatekeepers and stuff, and oh my God, you guys, maybe we can we can discuss it, together so that you guys can see. Because somebody had accused me from my Lilith video of basically being transphobic because I said I don't believe males are witches. Well, you can take it how you want to. I don't care. If y'all want to get mad, I don't care about no cancel culture because this ain't going to never be what pays my bills. I'm always have another way of doing anything. I'm going to talk how I want to talk. Like I said, I'm not here to please you guys. So y'all have this bad thing amongst the two-spirited community where you guys have become bullies and y'all go around bullying people who don't agree with your stance, which is very hypocritical, very hypocritical. So it's not that I'm against what you do. I believe in order. Even within us being all loving as the matriarch, there still is a particular type of order. And that is how the matriarch has always dealt. The queen mothers would even always pick, she would be the matchmaker in the community. If there was more men than women, she would put people together. If there was more women than men, hey, some of y'all men had to double up on women, So, um, you know, that was always the queen mother doing that, because she always wanted to create order. Okay, so even amongst men, women, two-spirited, it still has to be some type of order. We're not exactly the same, and for you to think that, that's just crazy in itself. So, you know, I'm about order. I don't know what's going on in society and how y'all thinking today, but I'm a little different in my thinking. So I think it'll be really good if you guys comment in the comment section if you would like me to do a video with my brother. I'm going to ask him. I've talked about it with him so many times before, and he is excellent, you guys. And I really do think that our two-spirited need to be taught the correct way of who they are and understand who they are, instead of this toxic way that society, they're trying to pin us all against each other. And so we gotta really pay attention to this, okay? So you guys, I might want to wrap it up a little bit right here. Oh my God, this is a 2 hour and 9 minute. My videos are starting to get longer and longer. I wonder if this is how Brother Bobby has started off making 1 hour videos. Then it get to 2 hours. Next thing y'all know, I'll be at 3 hours. I'm getting better and better. So I love you guys. And I just want to tell you guys that I think you guys are awesome. I can't wait to see what all of you beautiful witches end up doing. I hope I am a spark, you know, that creates a flame. And that's what I want to be, a person that motivates you to think. I don't want you to be just like me, but I want to motivate you to be your best you. I want you to think. Hopefully something that I said today will get you looking into stuff. Mama Zoby is the shit. I just want to say that. I have to give credit where credit is due. Every single thing that she wrote in this book, I ain't gonna say I agree with everything. I mean, it's never gonna work like that. You ain't gonna agree with everything I say. But I can say that it was so wonderful to find somebody that upholds the same values and beliefs that I do. And so hopefully she has other books as well. I would be lying if I said I checked out the other books. But she's an older queen, so you're not going to find a lot on her, you know, all on YouTube, because she's not, you know, all on YouTube. Powerful witches, we just don't, you know. I'm trying to get with the program, y'all, because this is the only way I could reach y'all, really. You know, this is the era we're in. And so just like Jesus said, we're going to be doing greater works than he. We're doing greater works because now we're able to reach each other on a major platform. So you guys, I don't know if I'll be doing Return of the Great Mother Part 3. If I do, it'll probably be later on as more information. It'll probably just be a series. And so my next video is going to be on a different topic. We're going to be talking about something I love to talk about, and that is dark energy, demons, Satan, the devil, all of those dark things, you guys. So I can't wait. I'm going to talk to you guys about demons. So, and then I think after that, I'm going to do a video discussing my journey as a Hebrew Israelite. As a matter of fact, here come the trolls. Da, 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 da. They going to be here, y'all, because I'm going to do some breakdowns for many of you sisters who still, you might be catching my videos and you might still kind of be a part of the Hebrew Israelite community. I'm going to be showing you guys how these Hebrews are liars. They don't even read their own book correctly, and that their doctrine is totally fake. It's totally fake. It's totally made up. It's a cult within itself, and we're going to talk about that. So I'm going to come against a lot of the things that they've been teaching the sisters even wrong according to their own book, cherry picking their own Bible and taking things out of context. I think it's very important for me to educate. That's how I started off on this journey, coming against that book. I gave they asses a run for their money. And if I'm not a person really into debating, but if any of you Hebrew Israelites respectfully would like to have a discussion, maybe one day we can do it live, and I'll respectfully eat you up and your doctrine with your own Bible. We can just use your Bible and I'll prove to you that you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Because I, as a witch, I know your book better than you do. Because it's my book. I got your book. Y'all, I am a hackling witch. I'll tell you that in a minute. I will hackle along. Okay, you guys, so I'm so happy I was able to do this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Do your research. Mama Zoby, I will see you guys and probably in a couple of days or so, a few days, I'm going to make another video. I'm back and I'm better than ever, baby. So you guys take care and I love you all. Stand on your square. Don't take nothing you don't want to. Do what you got to do. Homeschool them kids. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Protect your energy, protect your pineal gland, and do not let them change your DNA. Have a good one, you guys. Bye.